ice block taillight mod on pre-facelift non-ice block taillights. This is going to turn out great. These taillights are for the Project Saab. So I want to give a shout out to Craig, who had this idea originally. His forum on one of the Saab forums will be linked down below so you guys can look at it. I'll show you the process. I talked to him specifically about it, so we're going to be doing it exactly the same. It's going to look really good and you guys can see the finished product. But with that being said, we're going to start with wet sanding both the tail lights. We're going to start with some 1500 grit and then go with some 2000 grit before we mask it off, and then we spray paint it black. The car was backed into at one point and it has some scratches right here, so we're going to use a little bit of rougher sandpaper in this area to start, just to get things, hopefully smooth this out and get to go away. With some 600 grit, pretty much all of this came right off. There's a few scratches, but some of it's going to be part that gets painted anyways. And once you step back like this far, you can't even see it. So it lines up with these stripes here anyways. So with that mostly out, we're going to go over all 4 taillights now with 1500 grit, just to kind of start to smooth them out a little bit before we mask it off, so that way that paint will stick better. It should look a little bit hazy when you're done, so kind of like this here, but we'll update when we're done with this. Now I suppose I'll show where we're gonna mask it off and show you the part that we're painting. So on each taillight here, this line around the outside where it's darker, we're going to follow that the whole way around the entire taillight up along here, and then kind of have to make it custom, I guess, in a way, along here, just following the outer edge of the mat or of the taillight, and then meeting back up with this line here. And across this middle section, there's this red strip right here, so we're gonna go kind of along that the whole way across. It'll line up, and then on this middle part where the taillight separates, there's this dark strip on each side, and that's just the strip that we're gonna paint, so we're going to mask off the rest of it. We've been at this for about 45 minutes to an hour, so she's done with her big taillight and she's now working on the small one. I just finished up my big one, so it's just hard to get these corners down here, especially like this one is all kind of free-handed in a way. We're not following any lines this section right here, so that was definitely difficult, but we're definitely getting there slowly. Almost completely done masking them off. This tail light right here, both of them are done. They look pretty good. That one over there is done. We just need to finish up these last corners. The corners are the most tedious part. Together we've probably worked on this well over an hour. So if you're doing this by yourself, I imagine it's going to take you a couple hours to mask these off well. And then we'll be ready to spray paint it. Here they are. They look just about done. If you want to pause the video and you can see exactly where we masked it, feel free to do that, because I'm not going to take pictures. But now we're ready to spray paint it. We're going to do a few coats of black paint, and then we're going to let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow we'll continue with the process. This is after 4 coats. I think that's going to be it. It looks pretty good. Made sure to get around here as well. So we're going to let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow we'll sand and do the clear coat. But so far, so good. Definitely looks solid so far.
Tomorrow.
We're back here. It is now day 2 of doing these taillights. We let them dry overnight, so they do look pretty good. I think I did a nice job painting these, but the next step is going to be to take the tape off, which is going to be the most nerve-wracking and also satisfying step. Hopefully they turn out good, but before I do that, I want to show you guys the paint that we use, because I realized I didn't mention it earlier. This is just generic gloss black paint, so I mean like $4 at Home Depot I think it was. And then we have some clear coat, same brand, just some gloss clear coat that we're going to be using. After we peel off the tape, we're going to be sanding the whole thing down again with 2000 grit sandpaper. We're going to put a couple coats of clear coat on it, and then we're going to let them cure all day and ideally overnight. And then tomorrow we're heading back up to Prescott. We'll put them on the car, and I'm super excited to see how they're gonna look. So let's finish these up. Nerve-wracking.
Okay, good.
I think they turned out just about perfect. So now we're going to be very gentle with some 2000 grit sandpaper and wet sand just a couple of times just to kind of smooth it out a little bit, and then we'll be ready to clear coat it. Just going over this very lightly. I'm going to get it all wet first. Very lightly. It's probably more than enough, so we're gonna do the same thing for the other three now, and we'll be ready to clear coat it. Same as the paint, stand like a foot apart or stand a foot away, and just light coats on this. So there's 3 coats of clear coat on it all now. It looks pretty reflective. Gonna let it dry obviously for a while, but it looks pretty good. Might do one more coat here in a couple minutes. But that's about it. We're gonna let it dry the rest of the day, and then tomorrow we will ideally put them on the car. So guess I'll catch up with you guys then.
Tomorrow for sure.
Next day, we're up in Prescott again on the project Saab. AAA is on their way, so we can get the battery in and finally start it up and see if the new ECU fixed it. All of our 10 millimeters. We've got our 10 millimeter that somehow picked up duct tape, I guess. Fast forward 5 minutes to when this is all done. So there they are, the new taillights are on the car. Once again, shout out to Craig for this idea. If you guys have any questions about the process, or let me know what you think down below in the comments. I think they look really good, especially on this red paint. But with that being said, that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see y'all next time.